We've often heard of feral animals, but how often do you hear about feral children? Feral children have been isolated from human contact from a very young age and grow up wild, sometimes being taken care of by animals. In other cases, feral children have been confined by people, but here we'll only be discussing cases of children raised by animals in the wild. Be prepared for some amazing and bizarre stories. Please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more informative videos like these. Number 11. Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja. A Life as a Wolf, a Life as a Man. Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja is a noted feral child who was reportedly sold to a hermetic goat herder at the age of 7, but soon found himself alone in the mountains. Having suffered years of beatings from his stepmother, he preferred the solitude in the mountains to human company. His story is a very special one, not only because he lived for 12 years in the wild with the wolves and other animals, but also because he spent a lot of time trying to integrate back into society. He is 68 years old today, and was only partly successful. The animals guided me as to what to eat. Whatever they ate, I ate, he says. The wild boars ate tubers buried under the soil. They found them because they smelled them. When they were digging the soil looking for them, I threw a stone at them. They would run away, and then I would steal the tubers. He started to establish a special relationship with some animals, especially with the family of wolves. One day, I went into a cave and started to play with wolf cubs that lived there, and I fell asleep. Later, the mother brought food for them, and I woke up. She saw me and looked fiercely at me. The wolf started to rip the meat apart. A cub got close to me, and I tried to steal his food, because I was hungry as well. The mother pawed at me. I backed off. After feeding her pups, she threw me a piece of meat. I didn't want to touch it because I thought she was going to attack me, but she was pushing the meat with her nose. I took it, ate it, and thought she was going to bite me, but she put her tongue out and started to lick me. After that, I was one of the family. He also had a snake as a companion. It followed him around and shared food with him. Bit by bit, sounds and growls replaced his words, and he only felt good when he was surrounded by other animals. He can still reproduce the sound of the deer, the fox, the agulila, booted eagle, and several other animals. Number 10. Ramachandra, the human amphibian. In yet another tragic case, Ramachandra was born sometime around 1960 in India. He was first reported in 1973 and was rescued in 1979. He was living an amphibian-like lifestyle. He was only partially able to adapt to a human lifestyle, continuing to only eat raw food and hang out in the rivers. In 1982, he approached a woman, probably sexually aroused and unaware of the human taboos. The woman felt threatened by him and threw boiling water on him, ultimately killing him. Number 8. Saturday Mthiyane, a monkey more than a man. A boy of around 5 was found after spending about a year in the company of monkeys in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa in 1987. In 2005, at the age of 17, he was still behaving like a monkey. He didn't talk at all, walked like a monkey, refused to eat cooked food, and never played with other children, though he still exhibited affection towards other monkeys. Number 7. Andrei Tolstyk, raised by a guard dog. Andrei Tolstyk was born with hearing and speaking deficiencies. This was enough for his parents to abandon him in a remote area of Siberia, close to Lake Baikal. However, he was lucky enough to be adopted by a guard dog who taught him how to survive. Tolstyk had strong teeth, sniffed the food before eating it, was afraid of people, and generally behaved very erratically. It took him 2 weeks before he began to walk on 2 legs. Number 6. Lyokha, the Wolf Boy of Moscow. In December 2007, Russian authorities brought in a boy who was living with wolves. He looked to be around 10, but may have actually been much older. He didn't appear to speak any Russian and exhibited wolf-like behavior. Some villagers found him in a lair made from leaves in freezing temperatures, fairly close to Moscow. The authorities brought him in, gave him a shower, and cut his nails, and he escaped from the facility in 24 hours. Nothing is known of his whereabouts. Number 5. Ivan Mishukov, the 6-year-old alpha dog. Born in 1992, Ivan Mishukov lived with wolves between the age of 4 and 6 years old. He ran away from home to escape his mother's alcoholic and abusive boyfriend, and entered the ranks of a feral dog pack. Ivan gained the dog's trust by providing them with food, and in return, he was protected by the pack. Eventually, he was made pack leader. He was taken by the police 3 times and subsequently escaped, helped by the pack. He was ultimately captured by leaving a lot of food outside of a restaurant. He relearned language fairly rapidly. But the thing is, it was pointless to try and explain to him that human society is better than living in the dog pack. Because clearly, for him, it wasn't. He was living in a dog pack where they loved and appreciated him, and he clearly felt that. The winters in Moscow are extremely harsh, and the dogs helped him get through the severe weather and difficult conditions. But the most extraordinary part of this case is that the dogs must have taught him love and emotional support. Arguably, it means they civilized him. Number 4. Chhaidy. 38 years living in the jungle. Perhaps one of the most spectacular cases of feral children and adults is Chhaidy. She went missing in the jungle at the age of 4 and was only seen after 38 years in 2012. Local communities had been hearing rumors about a jungle girl for years, but they always dismissed it as gossip. She went missing in India, close to the border with Myanmar, and was later found in Myanmar living naked in a cemetery. But what's perhaps even more remarkable is that for someone who lived in the jungle for basically all her life, she's very human-like. She can talk in a simple fashion, she can learn new words, and she is not particularly shy of human interaction. Her family hasn't allowed any medical or psychological attention, so there is no clear evaluation of her state. Number 3. The Dog Boy from Chile. Perhaps an even sadder story is that of Dog Boy, who is now 24 years old. Abandoned by his 16-year-old mother, he spent some time in the system. But when he was 10 or 11, he was adopted by a group of dogs living in a cave close to a Chilean port. The dogs were like his family. He sucked milk from a bitch in the pack, and they looked for food together, mostly from dumpsters in the port. When police found him, he tried to run, desperately jumping into the water. A policeman jumped in and retrieved him. The boy was suffering from intense depression. He was very aggressive and barked, showing no signs of human communication, although it was later revealed that he did know some Spanish. He could also draw and was apparently aware that he was human, but still wanted to be reunited with his canine family. I'm not even sure they helped him by taking him away from the pack. Number 2. A toddler kept alive by cats. Argentinian police discovered an abandoned 1-year-old boy surrounded by 8 wild cats in 2008. They observed that as they approached the child, the cats became very protective and even aggressive. The police found that the cats had been keeping the child alive during the harsh winter by constantly licking him and staying on top of him like a living blanket. To make things even more touching, they even brought him scraps of food, which they would not eat and save for him. Had it not been for the cats, the toddler would not have made it through the winter. The boy, who had been living with the cats for several days, apparently became separated from his homeless father while the latter was collecting cardboard to sell. The man later told police that the cats always had been protective of his son. I couldn't find out anything about their current whereabouts, but hopefully they at least have a roof over their heads. The mere fact that these feral cats were capable of bestowing compassion upon a member of an unrelated species should raise some big question marks to those advocating the killing of feral populations. Number 1. Marina Chapman. Sold, abandoned, and raised by monkeys. Marina Chapman is an author of a popular book and currently lives in Bradford, England. If you didn't know anything about her past, you'd say she's a pretty normal person living a normal life. But her book, which is an autobiography, is so incredible that most publishers refused to publish it, thinking that it was a lie. Marina was kidnapped, probably for ransom, but was then abandoned in the Colombian jungle. She was lucky enough to be adopted by a group of capuchin monkeys, which are known to accept human children in their groups. The animals taught young Marina how to catch birds and rabbits with her bare hands, so she was able to survive and take care of herself. After 5 years, she was rescued by hunters, who found her and sold her to a brothel. At that point, she had no human language capabilities. She ran away from the brothel, lived on the streets, and became a slave to a mafia family. Through some connections she made and some sheer luck, she managed to get to Bradford as a nanny, where she met her future husband and established a family. If you know of any other children that have been raised by wild animals, do tell us about them in the comments below.